Hi, everyone. I'm Sampada Telang, and I head Ecosystem Health and Scaling at Chrome OS. Welcome to this session today. We're excited to have you here, and we're going to talk about how to find the right Chromebook for your district, for your school's needs. This session is going to be recorded, and please feel free to send this content around to others that you know may be interested but could not attend today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do before I dive into the topic. My goal is to make sure that our ecosystem is healthy and we are helping our customers find the right Chromebooks for their needs. We call it wayfinding. And so that's something that I work with Chrome OS product and engineering teams on and figure out what the right use cases are for our customers' needs, and then how do we map the right devices for their needs. So that's basically what we're going to be spending the next 15 or 20 minutes talking about. At the end of the session, we will open up for questions, and my colleague is live, and she'll be taking questions and sending those over to me, and we'll take some of these questions live. So with that, I am going to get started. So first and foremost, I want to talk about 2020 as a year that we all experienced, and it's been a challenging year for all of us. But for schools in particular, it was extremely challenging to navigate and figure out how to transition thousands of students from learning in classrooms to almost entirely learning online. And what this meant was that many school districts had to step up and figure out a plan in a very short period of time and lend devices to students who needed them. Right. And what this has meant is that though these devices, that some of them were intended for use in classroom, are now being extensively used for video calling and to support distance learning. The challenge with this is that not all of them are suitable for distance learning. Now, what do I mean by that? So think of a time when you were on a video call, and many of us have been on video calls over the past year. And you could not hear others properly. Perhaps there was a lag, or some of the sentences were getting cut off, or even worse, it just slowed down everything else that you were trying to do on your computer. So this can be a very frustrating experience, especially for a student who is trying to learn over video conference while also taking notes at the same time. So very often, the reason this happens is because the device that's being used is under-spec'd, and it's doing way more than what it is capable of handling. So the question then becomes, how do you determine what the right device is for this type of a use case? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So the good news is that we have a diverse offering of Chromebooks that are available in the market across all price points and spanning the full spectrum of performance, specs, and features. So to make it easier to choose the right Chromebook, we are classifying them into three main segments. So the first one is basic classroom use. The second, learning anywhere. And third, advanced use. Our goal is to help you understand which Chromebooks are suitable for distance learning and which ones are not, in that they should primarily be used in classroom. We also want to point out the ones that have high performance and can actually be used for advanced use cases by teachers or staff. So what we've done is we've identified the minimum criteria for each segment, and I'm going to walk you through it next. So let's start with basic classroom use. So for basic classroom use, the goal here is that these devices are good for using in classroom. They're meant to be used as shared student devices, and they're good for web browsing, email, Google Workspace, or browser-based classwork, assignments, and testing. They can handle all of that really well. The minimum system requirements for this is 4 gig of memory. What we intend to say here is that any device that should basically classify and can be used for within classrooms. Most of the Chromebooks meet this criteria. The next set of Chromebooks, the next segment for us is Learning Anywhere. So in Learning Anywhere, we are calling out a segment of Chromebooks that are actually optimal for distance learning. And what we mean by that is that these devices can handle video conferencing with 15 or more participants, which is a pretty common use case for distance learning in many school districts. And so we are calling out those the Chromebooks that meet that criteria. So the student is able to get on calls which are larger in size, but also concurrently do a lot of other things at the same time. So for example, they may have their notes document open. They may have multiple tabs with different assignments open in the background, and at the same time also be on a VC call, and the performance would just be fine. And so for that, we have certain minimum system requirements that we are recommending. And so as you can see, it's centered not just around a minimum memory spec of 4 gig, but also CPU requirements. And as I said, we have a lot of different options when it comes to specs. And so we'll release these, and I'll share with you the link at the end of it, where you can see what the minimum CPU looks like for this category. What you should look at is, of the current fleet that you have, which of those devices meet this minimum criteria and which ones don't, and that'll help you determine if a device is good to be sent home for distance learning or is not as optimal and should primarily be used for in-classroom usage. Next, we will move to our third segment, which is advanced use. So this segment is intended for advanced use cases, for heavy workloads, such as content creation, editing, coding, or running apps in virtualized environments. These devices are able to support heavy multitasking. So they can not only handle large video calls, but they can also handle a lot of other things like virtualization, coding. You can basically run an alternative operating system on these devices. And it can support a good quality experience with extended displays and monitors. Now, for this, we have even higher minimum system requirements. And so the minimum memory for this is 8 gig, and the CPU requirements are also listed out. So as you can see, for example, it's Intel Fan i3, i5, i7 processors, similarly for AMD Ryzen 3, 5, and 7. So these devices are ideally used for advanced use cases, for example, for the needs of staff or teachers. So these are the 3 main segments that we hope will address some of the key use cases that you have. And hopefully, as you look at your existing fleet, you can map out where they fall, and it'll help you plan better. So with that, I wanted to share with you what we are doing in terms of segmenting these available devices into these different segments. So what we've done is we've looked at all the devices that are available this year in 2021 in various channels, and we've actually segmented them into these different buckets. And so what you see here is just a small snapshot of what that looks like. But we have collateral available for you to look at, which actually looks at over 40 or more products that are in channel this year that are segmented into these 3 buckets. So as you can see, it spans different, many of our different partners, and it provides details of the device specs and configuration. What we also have there is we mark out the ones that are connected, so that support LTE, for example. And if there are any advanced features like parallels that some of these support, we call that out as well in the collateral. So with that, I would like to share with you the link that where we've actually posted the collateral. And on this link, as you look at this, please share this with others as well. On this link, you can actually find the criteria that I shared earlier. You will also be able to find all the different partner products that are available. And we've segmented them to make it easier for you to determine which ones meet your needs. So with that, I am going to take a pause and see if you have any questions. Please type those in, and my colleague is standing by to take the questions, and we can try and collate and address some of them. While we are waiting for questions, one thing I can do is actually show you what this where that link leads to. So this is something, this is a collateral that we put out, and it actually shares with you the different segments, the minimum spec requirements for each segment. You can also see the recommended software or apps for each segment. You will then be able to get additional information on things like auto update expiration for AUE, as we call it, for different devices. The devices that have connectivity options, like LTE connected devices, will be marked specifically as well. We have provided a list of the ones that offer zero-touch enrollment, that support the zero-touch enrollment, the ones that support parallels, as well as supported peripherals for each of these devices. So, for example, there are many peripherals that such as mice or headsets that students use or staff use, and our Works with Chromebook program helps you figure out the ones that we've certified to work with Chromebook. So we've actually provided links to all of that in this collateral as well. And then you can see we have one page for every OEM, and there you can see their available offerings segmented in different segments. There is as you can see, there is a sign next to the ones that have an LTE SKU. So hopefully this makes it simpler for you to determine which ones to look for in your purchase decisions, as well as a way for you to evaluate your existing fleet. All right. So I am going to take a look at the questions now. Looks like we have quite a few coming in. So we have a question around any changes to end of life. So the one thing I wanted to call out on this is that we have we've only sort of in this collateral, we've only put the devices that have an AUE of 2026 or beyond. If there is a shorter AUE on there are one or two exceptions where there could be a shorter end of life, and we've called that out with a specific symbol. So you may be able to see that in one or two cases, such as here, for example, and we've called that out. But most of these devices here, everything else should be AUE of at least 2026 and beyond. All right, let's look at the next question. All right, so the next question is, this is a helpful document. Will this be an annual document? This is an excellent question. Our goal is to refresh this at over a certain cadence. We want to make and refreshing this is important because there are different things happening from a hardware perspective and apps perspective. So as we determine which devices are great for video conferencing and multiple large calls, we have to make it really anchors on how well do these video conferencing apps work on Chrome OS. And there are changes in apps. They push out new updates, and so we need to make sure that we keep testing. And this is based on a lot of extensive test data where we've looked at metrics like how long does it take to press a key when you're also on a video conference call. Can you take notes? What is the latency like? We've looked at dropped frame rates and so on. So we've looked at a whole host of metrics to come up with these minimum requirements. And so as the apps evolve, like Google Meet evolves or Zoom evolves and others evolve, we need to make sure that we are testing constantly. And if there are any material changes happening, or if there are new chips, SoCs coming out, we need to make sure that we are adding that and we are evaluating our test criteria. At the same time, there'll be new devices coming out from our OEM partners that we'd like to add as well. And so we'll try to keep this updated as frequently as we possibly can. Definitely on a 6-monthly cadence. As new devices come out, we want to make sure those are incorporated. But this minimum criteria, we will continue evaluating and on whatever cadence is necessary. If we feel like there's a material difference or a material discrepancy in terms of new content coming out, we will update it right then. All right, so yep. So there is a question around, again, for AUE. And the question is 8 years the new standard on all devices? So what we've done is actually provided you a link to auto update expiration here. So if you click on this link in the collateral, you will actually be able to see our AUE policy. We keep it current over there. It is 8 years for our platforms, but you can see by device. For every specific device, you will be able to see what the AUE date looks like. So you will be able to see that right here. All right. Is there a recommended stylus for writing on screens? So again, a really great question. So I would say in general, for all supported peripherals, we have provided a list. Again, all the repository of this information is all in one place. So you should go to this page, check it out. It has a lot of great detail around all the accessories that we've certified to work with Chromebooks. Again, we have certain test criteria that we've established and made sure that that these accessories are meeting that criteria before we put them on this page. So you will see by category the different partners, their product SKU numbers, model numbers that are certified to work with Chromebooks. So you can see the full list over here. Okay. All right. I am trying to see more questions here. Yes. So there's a question around zero touch enrollment. And it says, please tell us more about zero touch enrollment. Yes, we know it's a very popular ask. So that is why we actually put it in the collateral right here. So what you can do is click on this link on the collateral and it'll take you to zero touch enrollment. We have a full page with many sort of sublinks around what zero touch enrollment is, what are the compatible Chrome devices for this, what are the specific devices that currently support zero touch enrollment, And depending on what the manufacture date looks like, we have listed all the different model numbers for zero touch enrollment. So would really encourage you to go in here, dig in deeper, and understand what it covers today, what exactly it does. There's a video here as well. Okay. There's a question around, will there be open slots on the device to install a new chip as to discard a device? Can it be updated? I'm not sure if I fully understand the question, but I'll try my best to respond. I don't believe our goal here is to really see if we can, so swapping out chips on devices is not something that I can cover as part of this, but and may not be possible, realistically on a lot of Chromebooks. So what you should therefore do is look at, if a given Chromebook with certain specs meets a certain use case criteria or not. So that is why we have this criteria outlined. It won't necessarily be possible for you to just sort of swap in the chips in and out. So given that, you should evaluate which of your Chromebooks meet that minimum criteria, and either can be used for distance learning anywhere as we call it, or advanced use. All right. I think that covers a lot of the questions that we have. All right, so we are at the end of the session. I do want to again call out this link right here. Please, please take a look at this link. Please share it, and we will also share a recording of this session over to and that you can send and share with others who are not able to attend. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a good day.